ambapo tunafuatilia kongamano hili la Umoja wa Mataifa kuhusiana na makazi na mazingira. Anayezungumza kwa sasa ni mwanamuziki kutoka Gambia, Sona Jobate, ambaye anatoa wasilisho lake. Tuvuke kule tumsikize.
Asante sana. Bravo, distinguished delegates. You will agree with me that this has been a very, very impressive presentation by Mrs. Jobate and these wonderful children. Thank you very much. This is really wonderful. Let's give them a round of applause again. Thank you, Mrs. Jobate, and thank you, Ghetto Classics. I now have the pleasure of inviting Mrs. Maimouna Mort Sharif, Executive Director of UN Habitat, to deliver her statement on behalf of our organization. Madam, you are wearing many hats. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Your Excellency, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Madam Mata Delgado Peralta, President of the first session of the UN Habitat Assembly, Ms. Joyce Maisuya, Acting Executive Director of UN Environment Program, heads of delegations, Your Excellencies, parliamentarian, ambassadors, permanent representative, members of diplomatic corps, representative of UN Habitat partners, the private sector and civil society organization, distinguished delegates, members of the press, my United Nations colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I warmly welcome you to the United Nations office at Nairobi, as they say here, Karibuni sana Nairobi. This is a very significant and historic moment for all of us. It is the first ever session of the UN Habitat Assembly. Thanks to your persistence and commitment to multilateralism in general and to sustainable urban development in particular. In December 2018, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution establishing a new governance structure for UN Habitat after 14 long years of discussions. I would like to congratulate and thank you for this achievement and your support to UN Habitat. Thank you very much. The aim of this first assembly is to frame current and emerging challenges of urbanization in the context of an increasingly urbanizing world and propose innovative solutions, including best practices, to make the best of the opportunity of sustainable urban development so as to leave no one and no place behind. It is my sincere hope that you will find the agenda of the Assembly an inspiring one. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, as we start our deliberations, I would like to point to three very important opportunities that we should rightly take full advantage, and I would like to also make three proposals and three appeals. First, the first will benefit from well-planned and well-managed cities. I would like to invite all of us to pause for a moment and fully take into account the fact that 70% of the world population is projected to live in urban areas by 2050. What does this mean to our world? It means that persistent and new development problems, including extreme poverty, socioeconomic inequalities, slums, social exclusion and marginalizations, gender-based discrimination, humanitarian crisis, conflicts, air pollution, climate change, and high unemployment will be increasingly concentrated in urban areas. It means that we collectively need to get our growth process and our urban growth process and our cities right to solve or mitigate these problems. This is important as some of the challenges do not recognize national or regional boundaries. Some are planetary in nature, and their negative consequences affect not only us today, but all future generations. What this means is that we need sustainable urbanization to ensure successful and long-term development. Therefore, understanding the key trend in urbanization and how it will likely unfold is crucial to the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It will also help reduce poverty and inequalities in cities and communities. As the world continues to urbanize, sustainable development depends increasingly on the successful management of urban growth. especially in low-income and low-middle-income countries, where the pace of urbanization is projected to the fastest. Many countries will face challenges in meeting the needs of their growing urban populations, including for housing, transportation, energy system, and other infrastructure, as well as for employment and basic services, education, and healthcare. For this reason, I am appealing to you to strongly position sustainable urbanization at the center of your development priorities through deliberate efforts to implement the new urban agenda, strengthening the urban governance structure and institutions, and by adopting integrated sustainable urban development policies and plans, implementing impact-based projects and programs, while strengthening the linkages between urban and rural areas, building on their existing economic, social, and environmental ties. Second, the world needs to leverage innovations to improve living conditions in cities. Our work must be transformational and groundbreaking. This is why the theme of this first assembly is about innovation. Innovation for a better quality of life in cities and communities, and with the sub-theme on accelerated implementation of the new urban agenda towards achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Cities are incubators of innovation, industry, technology, entrepreneurship, and creativity. They drive national economies by creating prosperity, enhancing social development, and providing employment. The attainment of the SDGs will have to go through cities, and cities will have to continue to drive innovation in cutting-edge ways to achieve a lasting impact in communities and to ensure that no one is left behind as envisaged in the 2030 agenda. I am appealing to you to adopt policy solutions that carefully promote science, technology, and innovation in fulfilling the promises of 2030 agenda. We need to embrace new technologies, including using artificial intelligence to support decision-making processes and to efficiently and inclusively deliver basic and social services that transform life in cities. Technological innovation should support not only the rise of smart cities, but also the emergence of livable cities. I am also calling for the development and sharing of environmentally sound technologies to the developing countries. Third, the world needs a resourceful and impact-driven UN habitat. While urbanization is moving the global economy forward, rising inequality and exclusion within cities can derail development progress. Despite wide recognitions and commitment, building inclusive cities remains a challenge. Today, 1 out of 3 urban residents in the developing world still live in slums with inadequate services. To make sure that tomorrow's city provides opportunities and better living conditions for all, it is essential to understand that the concept of inclusive cities involves a complex web of multiple spatial, social, and economic factors, which requires multidimensional and integrated solutions. We work with you in planning, implementing, and monitoring these solutions. As you are repositioning sustainable urban development at the center of your national strategies in UN Habitat, we are committed to work with you as we have done for the past 40 years. These excellencies, distinguished delegates, allow me to highlight a few figures that illustrate the impact of UN Habitat's work. as a result of our effort between 2014 to 2019. More than 2 million people are benefiting from improved access to water and sanitation. 4 million slum dwellers have been positively impacted by participatory slum upgrading interventions. More than 539 cities in 14 countries are now implementing the City Prosperity Index as a monitoring and policy formulation tool. 375 local governments and 25 national governments are using UN Habitat flagship publications and best practices databases in policy formulation. More than 53 cities in 30 countries has benefited from state-of-the-art planning and design solution, and over 500,000 people in 9 countries have been impacted by work in humanitarian response and reconstruction sector, including through the participatory people's process. In spite of this achievement, we would like to do more in partnering with you as you implement the new urban agenda in view of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. For this reason, we have formulated our new strategic plan 2020 to 2025, which strongly emphasizes UN Habitat's contribution to the implementation of global agendas by focusing on a set of impact-oriented goals on poverty and inequality, prosperity in cities and regions, climate action and urban environment, and urban crisis prevention and response. This plan, your plan, our plan, has been submitted to you for adoption. I am appealing to you to continue working hand in hand with us and to propose ways of achieving greater impacts in cities and communities. We have identified 5 flagship programs which we will enable us to implement the strategic plan 2020 to 2035 in a more focused, coherent, and impact-oriented manner. Please join us, work with us in making a difference in cities and communities. Join us in this brand new UN Habitat. We hope to continue to count on your support. Before I conclude, I wish to acknowledge the considerable support and wise counsel we have received over many weeks and months from members of the Committee of Permanent Representatives under the able guidance of His Excellency Ambassador Fernando Coimbra of Brazil. Excellencies, Ambassador Coimbra, on behalf of the UN Habitat family, thank you very much. In our deliberations, our discussion and negotiation, keep one thing in mind. Think of our children and our future generations that we will never meet. Our decision today will have an impact on the future greater than any other previous generations. Life on earth is at stake. We have the ability and the means to make life better in the smallest village to the biggest city. It is my genuine hope that our effort this week will contribute to a long-term cooperation and decisive actions. Let us find the will to do what is right now. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Madam Sharif, for the very wise words.